Good morning. Welcome to Options Tender. We are going to do, oh, by the way, happy 4th of July. Yes, the futures markets open, but the cash markets are not. So most of us are taking a break. I'm just going to do a quick video. I just got back in town, so I wanted to make sure I got an update for y'all and go from there. So, yes, multiple time frames. We're looking at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the ultimate top. Are we coming back for possibly a 1-2 setup here in this channel? We will monitor that month by month, day by day, hour by hour. So, all right, we're looking at on the long term, we're headed down. We're underneath that 8 EMA. This is the COVID low here. We broke out of this consolidation to the downside. We're trending to the downside. We're in an open gap here. We had a slight support here, but I'm looking towards this 50% retracement or the 618 retracement, which is also the 382 from much lower areas. So what we're looking for is to come down to this 50%. We do expect a bounce there. That's pretty typical at any 50% to get a bounce, and then perhaps that is the low, or we actually head down a little bit lower to the bottom of the channel here. So you see a lot of confluence going on here, and this is also the 50-month simple moving average. All right, so looking at the MACD, we have a bearish crossover, still nothing supportive in sight yet at this point. RSI came down underneath into bearish territory around the 46. It's underneath that 50 line, but you saw how it happened here. We actually got underneath the 50 and popped back up. Will this happen again? We don't know yet. We're going to keep watching day by day. Let's go down to a lower time frame, see if we can check out anything else. We have the weekly. On a weekly time frame, a little bit more confluence there. You saw this bearish rising wedge we broke down from, and this looks like it's possible a sort of a corrective move. It's not real impulsive there, but we're starting to get a little bit more bearish impulsive moves as we continue downward. Is this almost over? We don't know yet. It could be just the beginning, but this correction could almost be done. So let's continue to monitor this. We're underneath the 8 EMA for the weekly, so we're still trending down. Came down to the bottom of that weekly demand area, and we bounced off. So if we can't get back above it around this 38.80 point, then we're looking at lower areas here, and this channel can possibly be drawn lower, but I was getting a lot of confluence in this area here. So next target would be around that 35.50, 35.30 kind of area there, maybe a little bit lower. So checking that out, and then breaking underneath here would signify that's the 200-week moving average. That would be a big area to at least bounce, and maybe this is all an ABC, and then we get a big bounce, and then continue for a 5-way move down for a more impulsive move. But looking at the MACD, also just well into bearish territory, continuing to the momentum to the downside, waning off just a little bit if you're looking at the histogram here, but still bearish. And then we have this trend line down with the RSI still continuing that point. Did we have a slight divergence there forming? Maybe we get one more low on price, but perhaps a little bit lower, maybe a higher low on the RSI. That's what we'll be looking for a little bit more divergence if we get a new low there. And that may signify a great buying opportunity to get above this trend line, at least for a nice size 12, 15, 20% correction to the upside before heading back down. We are still in a bear market, so we're going to continue to think that way. On the daily, all right, daily trend is our friend. Bunch of lines here, continuing to the downside. What I was pointing out back here was actually in a bearish trend, a lot of times you don't get that warning with some of the reversals. We were talking about that in the Discord, the option guys, so check us out there. But what we're looking at on this daily time frame, we had a falling wedge. We had a wedge here as well. You notice that the pattern there. If we draw this wedge up, and you saw that this wedge here broke down, made a wedge, broke down. So I think this is going to continue to do that until we kind of get something else going on. Now, we did come into support around this 37, 30 to 50 area. So if this holds, perhaps we start to work our way back up. But until we break this trend, you know, you have the 20-day moving average and a 50-day moving average. So we start to work our way above there, then, you know, we're not really looking to the upside very much. As a matter of fact, we're still underneath that 8 EMA. And to me, it looks like we got back under it, and we're going to start trending down just a little bit more. So if we start to break down for this area, where are we looking for? Our next stop, just like on the other screen, we're talking about that 35, 30, 50, 35, 50 area. Perhaps it's more of a zone, 35, 30. So that's where we'll be looking for down next, but we won't get it really very aggressive until we get underneath this support here. All right, so looking at the MACD, started to get divergence here, but we're still trending to the downside. If we same thing, I think we're closer to some sort of bottom than well, we'll have to see. We can lots of things can happen. I'll show you on that 65-minute chart, but you know, if we start to break down and accelerate, we'll probably know this week or next week coming up how fast we start moving down, because we can make new lows on this MACD, and that would just that would break that divergence, and we'd be continuing on. I think that would be a real bearish signal, but we will start looking for some lows around here to see if we're going to bounce at all there. We'll have to keep positions pretty small and watch our stops. But, you know, same thing's happening. We're really getting to this triangulating area and getting tighter and tighter. And to me, that just says that unless we break down from this support here, then we're getting tight into an area to where we may be looking to go for that pop to the upside and then continue down. And this is over weeks and months, so lots of time in there to consider this. And so be very patient. Right now we're in a downtrend, and until otherwise spoken, then we'll be looking for more downside in the meantime. So last but not least, let's go to the 65-minute chart, and then we'll enjoy the rest of our 4th of July, and yeah, and we'll continue to do some updates tomorrow and throughout the week. I'll be out of town again this coming up next week, so I'll just put out videos whenever I can, you guys. But you see the structure, this is our wedge. We broke down from there, and we're kind of just back testing, making a smaller wedge. And, you know, if we went to the Elliott frames, you know, this could be a 1-2 and 1-2 and just really start to accelerate to the downside. And whether or not it's the end when we get to that 35 area, if we get to the 35 area, then, you know, that's we'll check that out later on. But really, that's what I'm looking for, is to break down from this wedge as well. Now, getting really in detail, if we start to break above this area and hold above the 38.24, then I'll be considering, I do suspect that we'll get a one more touch on this wedge at top. It could have topped out here, and maybe this is a 1-2 into tomorrow. We'll know overnight tomorrow if we're actually going higher or lower at this point. We do have our hedges to the upside on, but we are well into our bearish puts for out to this week and next week, and looking for expected move at minimum for 37-32 area. But really, if we start breaking down from this wedge, we're just going to come down here for our weeklies coming up on Friday. It's a shortened week, so we have 4 trading days. We'll get down to this area, and then we'll start to roll out our positions into later next week, because I do think that if we get down here quickly, we'll continue to go and break that options expected move. And when that happens, the market has to really start hedging, and so it really accelerates what happens there. So that's pretty much it. We're looking to the downside. We may have one more pop up here, but if we start holding areas above the 3.8 38.24, then we're going to have to start to lighten up on our positions and check to see what we're doing wrong here, and that there might be some upside to come. I don't think that's very likely, but we're not going to look at the MACD here short term. That's what we're looking at structure wise. Okay, the structure says bearish. All right, you guys have a wonderful day. If you're new here, go down to that bottom right-hand corner, hit that Option Center logo and subscribe. And I got some bartending videos coming up. I had some friends and family that they're talking about enjoying some of the cocktails and things like that that I do. I've been bartending for a couple decades, so we'll start to do some of those videos if you're interested as well. I'll do one for 4th of July. We'll make a cocktail ready to go. Okay. Thanks for joining us here at Options Center. Have a great day.